Now we're going to have to get into some adjusting of this, and usually the adjusting, most of it would take place right here with this mounting and adjusting screw. But as I've said, we took out 4 of the carbons in there, so I know that the shorting clip screw is going to have to be adjusted too. So let me show you this first one. We're not plugged in or anything, and I haven't even tested it. Come to think of it, but I'm going to make this adjustment and show you how to do it, and then we'll close it up and try it, and if it works, we'll see how good it works, and then I may need to open it up 2 or 3 times and adjust more. But with this screw, if you back it off a little bit, remember those spacers? And I said there can be some adjustment there. So that top spacer can move back and forth about 1/8 of an inch. And as it does, you're adjusting how far that actuating spring flange is from the contact point in the carbon resistor unit. So normally when you take it off, you'll see kind of a ring around there where it was. And I cleaned this up a little bit, but normally I would just kind of set it up like that and let it fall where it may and tighten it up. But in this case, I'm going to adjust it over, pull that spring this way to my right to bring the flange as far as it's going to go, because I think taking out 4 of those carbons is going to make that much of a difference. So I'm just if you're just cleaning yours and inspecting and it seemed okay, what I mean is you got that in there, just let it be itself and then tighten it wherever it lays. But if you're getting this thing where you press the clam and nothing and then full blast, you would probably want to move this to the right the way I'm doing. I don't know if you'd want to move it completely to the right as far as it'll go like I am. You have to see where it is to begin with. You could move it half the adjusting difference. See how that moving a little bit there? So you could move it part of the way and see if that helped, and then go from there. So again, that's how you adjust how far this flange is from here to begin with. So when the top of the clamshell pushes on it, it's going to make contact sooner. Because the idea is when you're sewing, you want to start pressing the foot pedal and the needle starts moving a little bit. Now, every time I've taken carbons out, I've also had to adjust this. Shorting, remember that little kind of spring in there? So I'm expecting to have to do that, but I'm very anxious to see if this thing is even going to work after spending all this time on it. So let me put my pedal return screws on. They're the same on both ends, so it doesn't matter which end, but kind of grab it towards the end, and you're going to want to put it on the kind of post where it is and twist it clockwise, just like you did taking it off. Try and twist it a little clockwise while you're putting it on. That's it, very simple. Okay, so just put it on there and get down close to the bottom and push it and turn it right. And you can see when it's seated as far as it'll go. Okay, And then that's going to be, those screws go in these two holes in the front. Make sure they get in there. And that's what, when you let up on the, your foot, that's what pops this up, moving the flange back and away and lowering or stopping speed. And you hear that kind of crickets, we called it, crickets. That's the spring in that, in the holes down there, rubbing on the plastic. So I know guys that have tried to put little cork stickers and stuff in there to help keep that plastic, but I don't know, when you're sewing, I don't think you're going to hear it. So, all right, I'm now going to plug the cord into electricity and plug it in this 338, and there's my light, which the old cord did, so my new cord's doing it. So let's just, I'm not going to screw it back together, I just want to push on it here and see if it's going to work. Oh, here we go. Maybe I should turn that a little so you can see the, let me lift that up off the feed dog. So back to the old common problem, right? Nothing, 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 and then too much. Okay, but I can show you how to adjust that, I hope. So let me unplug it, and we'll talk about that. So I have this unplugged, and you saw me that I already loosened this screw and adjusted the flange over as far as the adjustment would allow. I'm just checking that to be sure. But I didn't have much control. You know, when I put this down and started pushing, it was kind of like when I did the button. Nothing, 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 and it finally shorts out on the bottom, makes full contact, and the machine goes full blast. So the next adjustment, and this is very common when you have to take out carbons, is you see this little notched out area here. That's so you can get a screwdriver in to the screw head of the spring adjustment screw, kind of at an angle like that. So when you see me adjusting this, that's how I'm doing it. Okay, and it's this, you see the screwdriver is horizontal, so when you turn left like that, that makes more play in the whole mechanism. So I'm going to want to turn it right, and usually what you do is about a half turn at a time. You know, start with that. And I close this back up. Again, I'm not gonna put the screw in, although we'll get to that point. I'm going to plug the power cord back in. I know I have power because my light came on over here. Okay, then I'm going to try it again. I don't know if you can hear it, but that helps some because I can hear now the motor start to hum a little bit before it hits full blast. So unplug the cord. My light's out. I'll go back in here and I'll try another half turn. So I'm horizontal, so I'll go clockwise to my right, clockwise, another half turn. Close it up and plug it in. We got power, my light's on. We'll try again. Now I've got a little control. See, I can go slow, but when I want to go from slow like to medium, it just goes full blast. See, slow, slow. Look at that, nice and slow. But when I barely push on it, it just jumps up to full blast. So I'll unplug. I'm getting close now, so you know, it'd be your option if you want to go like a quarter turn, excuse me, or another half turn. I'm just going to go ahead and go, whoop, I'll just go another half turn. Yeah, this gets warm when you sew. And I'll close it back up. The problem is when you put that screw in, right, it's going to put some pressure on everything. So we're going to get to the point where we have to screw it back together to do our testing. But let's just go ahead with the not using the screw, closing the lid, plugging it in. Got power, and we'll try a little bit more here. That's good and slow. Here's medium, right? Faster. Full out. See, right there I'm starting to hear the motor hum. And I can go slow, medium. Okay, so that's a big difference. I wonder if that might be enough. Let me unplug. And what we've got to test now is when we put the screw in, does it make a problem? You know, does it start letting electricity leak into those carbons? So I squeeze the clam all the way. You can see my screw here. Now, I've seen some guys try and fine-tune this by like putting the screw in halfway and stuff like that, and that's not a good idea. The reason you don't want to try and fine-tune the adjustment by, you know, loosening this screw or only putting it in halfway is because through normal use it's just going to get loose and you'll lose whatever adjustment you had. So you need to just put the screw in all the way and leave it there. And if the adjustment's not right, we'll have to take out the screw and do some adjusting and put it back together and so forth. So I'm going to plug it back in now. And lights on. Okay, let's see how we do here. Okay, there's my slow. It's a little touchy trying to go from slow into medium. Seems to want to go from slow to fast mostly. So out with the cord, unplug from the wall. We'll go in here and we'll take this screw out. That's why you have to finalize your adjustments with the screw in all the way. We'll open this up. See, without the screw in, let's see how we do. Oh wait, I gotta plug it back in. Slow, medium, yeah. But see, it's got a lot of travel before I start getting any movement. Kind of traveling about halfway. Let me unplug. So I think I'm going to try and tighten this adjusting screw up a quarter turn to see if I can get a better action out of it. I want to make sure that my springs are in those holes. Oops, one spring fell off. Let me put that back on. Check them both here. Okay. There we go. When you put the screw in, if you squeeze the clamshell tight, the screw does stick up a little bit better so that you can see it. It's a little bit easier to get started into the hole. Get it tightened all the way up. Okay. Plug it back in. I'll show you this time. Let's see how we do now. See, it's still got quite a bit of movement without any activity. Then it starts groaning right there. Then it starts sewing real slow. Okay, I still want to try and tweak that a little more. The problem is I think we're getting close to the area where we have the screw adjusted so tight that with the clamshell screwed together, there's going to be some electricity leaking into that carbon resistor unit, which we really want to try and avoid. I've had to do that though, where we've had to remove so many carbons that there was no way around it. So the people just knew if they were not sewing, they needed to unplug the pedal. And what most of them did was just get an extension cord with an on-off switch. So as soon as they weren't sewing, they'd flick that switch and turn it off. Let me go another quarter turn here and put it back together. It's kind of a painstaking process, isn't it? It's kind of a PIA, pain in the but we are making some improvements. At least we can go slow when we want. Okay, Plug it back in. Let's try it again now. Okay, there's a nice slow stitch. Look at that. Here's a good medium. Faster. We can go full out too. So this is encouraging. We're getting pretty close here. Nice. Okay. So I guess persistence is the key to success, huh? I'm going to go one more quarter, because every time I've turned it a little more, it gets a little bit better. Still seems like I've got a lot of play in the clam, you know, before the first movement starts, before it'll even start the motor. So I'm going to go another quarter to clockwise. So you get to be a real pro at putting this screw in. Be able to do it in your sleep after you finish up. Plug it back in. Let's see what happens. Oh, nice. Nice. Okay, let's go. Nice and slow. A little faster. Okay. So I think I'm going to do one more quarter turn here. Oops, sorry, let me get back in here. So we ended up with the screwdriver vertical, but when we started the process it was horizontal. So I'm going to do one more quarter turn clockwise, bring the screwdriver to horizontal, and I'm going to try that. I think that's probably going to be the last. But while I have it open, I want to talk to you about the heat test. Like this from sewing already is too hot to hold on to. You know, it's like grabbing a hot ceramic mug. At first you can hold on to it, but then it gets too hot. Unlike the button foot controller though, when this clamshell, there's a lot more space and a lot more air above that. So this, touching this isn't always as accurate as touching the button. So once you get it adjusted to where you think you like it, then you've got to just stop sewing and just let it sit there, you know, 15 minutes or more, and then open it up, and then this should be room temperature. It shouldn't be warm anymore. You know, give it a 15 or 30 minute plugged in the wall, but not sewing. And that's how we're going to do the heat test on this. Now you can test these adjustments using a volt ohm meter if you have one, and I have one, and you know, for these videos I figure a lot of people aren't going to have one or know how to use it, so I'm doing it the old-fashioned way. And I figure if you do have a volt ohm meter, you know how to use it to, you know, hook it to the end of the plug and do these adjustments and watching the ohms on the meter. So if you have that electrical equipment and knowledge, you know, you can do this step a little quicker. Alright, so we got my electricity. Let's give it a test here. Oh, good. I'm getting movement much earlier when I'm depressing the pedal. That's good. And I have a little more range of motion at each speed. You know, it's not so touchy. I get it going here, and then it's going to start and slow. It's easier to control the speed. I actually have to move the clamshell more to change the speed. So I'm happy with that. And what I'm going to do now is, well, let me sew I'm going to sew for a while here. Just run it so that carbon gets nice and heated up. Then I'll just stop sewing, leave it plugged into the wall, and give it a 15-30 minute wait, and then I'll come back and open it up with you, and we'll see if that carbon is room temperature or not. That's the heat test. So I'll see you back after that. I have let this sit for about 20 minutes, which would be enough time after running it strong for it to cool down normally. So it should be room temperature. Let me unplug it. Should be room temperature, and if our adjustments are good, if we find it's warm or even worse hot, then we know we've got that adjustment screw too far counterclockwise, and it's letting current leak through the carbons. So let's find out. Here we go. Nope, totally room temperature. Not warm at all. Yay, hey! So I'm going to call that good. I'm going to call this clamshell style foot pedal totally restored, and even has my little blue cord on it. So when I do get around to restoring this 338 Singer Model 338 machine, I'll have a matching cord for it. Let's just do it one more time, huh? Might as well take a little pride in our accomplishments. Look how sweet that is, huh? It's very slow, faster. The other thing is, you do want to be sure it'll run full out, as fast as you want it to. But now, instead of going from nothing to almost full out, we can go very slow, medium, fast for a long scene. Wow, very nice. Okay, so that's going to conclude the series for the restoration of Singer clamshell style foot pedal. It's all clean, it's adjusted nice, it's going to run smooth. There's no carbon dust in there, no cracked or broken carbons. So good job. Good job. There's one thing from a comment that Daffy Cat made the other day reminded me I wanted to tell you, was that the carbons in both styles of foot pedals are the same thickness and diameter. So they're interchangeable. So if you need to cannibalize from one to put in the other style, it is okay. Thanks so much for watching any of my videos, and your comments and your questions are greatly appreciated. I hope to see you in the future. Take care.